Hello, this is Sarah. So, something that keeps coming up for me is this topic of anger. Is anger okay? Well, we are definitely programmed to think it is not okay. We look at people and say, ooh, they're an angry person. That's very negative. Now, if somebody is out abusing their power or being triggered all the time and they are spewing it badly, treating people badly, of course, that is not okay. But there is this thing of anger. Actually, the reason it's coming up is because we're seeing a lot of it today. There is so much division. That's the nature of the times that we're in. These are prophesized times. These are times where the division and the walls between the two worlds are growing and growing and growing. And this division is creating the suffering so for people to wake up. Unfortunately, that is one of the most prevalent ways for human nature to wake up, for humans to wake up, is through suffering. So there's a lot of division out there. And with that comes anger, triggering, hurt feelings, and people act on them, even spiritual people. So I would like to talk about this because is anger okay? And actually, I want to say yes. Yes, anger's okay. It's an absolute normal, natural feeling. And a lot of us are feeling anger right now. Even if we have been working on our detachment, which I do recommend in these days, I've definitely been working on it. And we're at this point where we feel pretty good. There may still be anger coming up. And of course, it's what you do with it. If you're out in the world, allowing yourself to be triggered and treat people bad, I am not condoning that whatsoever. However, I do also want to say, if it's happened, if you have been triggered and you snapped at somebody or put somebody down, I also want to give you grace. I'm just realizing that the intent wasn't there. However, we are human too. I hear so many people in the spiritual world shaming for anger, and as if we need to be these perfect people that don't experience it or always have control over our actions. And I am not, again, I am not condoning treating people bad or losing your temper. But I also want you to know that we are human, and if it happens, I don't want to say that's okay, because I don't want to give us humans a green light. Go ahead and do that. That's not what I'm saying at all. But give yourself grace around it. And if you are on the receiving end of anger, also give them grace. Things are picking up, and we're going to see a lot more of it, and we might even be reactive to it. Of course, I believe that we all know it's our shadow coming up at this point, at this stage of the game. It is our shadow coming up, and there is something to look at as to, why was I triggered? What happened? Go deeper into it, release, detach, alchemize, integrate that part of it. And that's what I love doing. That's what I am passionate about, is going deeper into integrating that kind of stuff. Any heavy emotions, any emotions of density. That's what I love. That's what I'm here for. Not only within myself, but for others as well. But there seems to be this shame, and I'd like to go into why I'm even saying this. Like, is anger okay? And why it is okay. And a couple different ways that we can use anger. as a tool or a weapon, right? Now, if we're weaponizing anger on a daily basis, or if it's something that is happening quite often, really, really look at that. That is not what I'm condoning. However, if it happens once in a while, I want you to have grace around it, because we are only human beings. In the spiritual world, there are a lot of people that are very mellow, and then there are others of us that are a little feistier, and it happens. Like, sometimes you lose your temper, and gosh, I don't want to say give a golden ticket, but what I do want to say is wrap yourself in grace and do not shame yourself. So I'd like to talk about the emotion scale. I'm sure you're all aware of. I know Abraham Hicks has one, and I'm going to refer to the David Hawkins one, and it's from 0 to 1,000, and of course from 700 on is enlightenment, okay? And then like somewhere in the middle of the scale, I think it's like 300 or 200, it could even be, is courage. And then you have neutrality, and then anything at neutrality and above is the higher emotions. Let's just say, not hierarchical, but as far as energy, it's just higher and something that is more comfortable for us humans. But below that, there are these dense emotions that we don't like being in. Shame is the bottom of the scale. Shame is paralyzing. There is no movement in shame. There is no movement in despair. And then there's guilt. So then we go on up the scale. Guess what? If shame is at 20, and anger is at 150. It isn't that anger is bad. It's what we do with it. With anger, there's movement. Like I just talked about in these other things, they're debilitating, like despair. You can be in despair and just want to give up on the couch for days, right? But when that anger comes in, there's a fire with it. And if we are channeling this anger in the appropriate ways, then there's movement. Then all of a sudden we can get from these places of despair and move forward. So there's a lot of conditioning around anger that it's bad, and that if we lose our temper, that we should feel awful. Like I've even seen people that in, speakers that I hold dear, still do, but where they have even said kind of implied shame for us, if anybody were to lose their temper. And I want to say it happens, and allow yourself grace, wrap yourself in love. That's what you need more of. Of course apologize, and of course do the work behind it, but please don't shame yourself, and don't be too hard on yourself. Guilt was this emotion originally, before, I believe, the beginnings were Christianity. They wanted power, and the way to get power is to shame us. And one thing they shamed is sexuality, and they knew there's so much power in sexuality, so let's shame it. Let's repress that energy so that we can control, right? Well, with that is also a debilitation. And what I'm trying to shine light on is that this anger is actually something that we can use, put in our toolbox to look at, but also to move forward. Sometimes we can people could treat us bad, And as they're, treating us bad, we can take it, right? We'll take it for quite a while. And then once you hit that anger point, that's self-love. That's like, wait a minute, you're not going to treat me like this anymore. And of course, I am not advocating go out and be icky. But what I am saying is use that anger and go, no, I love myself too much. This is motivating. I'm leaving now. Or I am not going to put up with this anymore. Just want to loosen that programming around anger and let you realize that it is a common, very healthy human emotion. I mean, look at Jesus when he dumped over the tables, right, for the tax collectors. That was anger. I mean, there is something as a sacred rage, and there is sacredness around some of this that we're seeing. It's like, wait, this isn't right. I don't want this to be going on in the world. And then what do you do with that? And that's where I say our power is in channeling that into different resources. So like moving forward, like, I don't like this anymore, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to speak out against it. Or I'm going to stick up for myself now. There's motion, there's movement in it, there's a fire in your belly. Use it right, use the energy right. So what I find with anger is that if you hold the sacred rage and you really can't contain it and you're afraid that it might come out in irresponsible ways, let's face it, losing your temper and is not something we want to do, none of us. Our intent isn't in hurting others. And if it is, then really look at that. However, what we do with that then is go into it, find out, be responsible with it, and release the wounding around that so that you can act from your heart when you see this rage come up, when things just aren't looking right. You're feeling it. Then you can act more responsibly when the wounding has been integrated. So I think, the takeaways of what I want to say is anger is normal. Anger is normal, and especially in these times that are very divisive. Also, another thing I'd like to add in is if you keep putting yourself in these situations where there is a lot of anger, you keep watching the news or you keep talking about these subjects that just create division, look at that too. Maybe disentangle your wounding around that or just detach from it. I have. I've pretty much detached completely from most of it. I don't watch the news anymore. Politics really does not interest me whatsoever. I hear it and see it, and yeah, there's sometimes things don't fit right for me. And I'm just at the stage of just acting responsibly from it. And if you're not, have grace with yourself. If you're still wading through it and detaching from it, I understand that step. I was there as well. So anyway, I just want to make sure that we're not shaming ourselves, or each other if there was an occasion where you acted out of anger and you regret it. So what I was saying earlier, and I got off on a tangent, but is guilt before it was co-opted and used against us. Guilt was just something that was supposed to run through us like, ooh, ouch, I'm sorry, I won't do that again, and then just go through us like that, not deeply held and persecuting ourselves. So that was like the nature of human guilt, and we've taken it and just embodied it, and really just demonized ourselves for it, when all of these things are just really normal and natural, these emotions that we feel that run through us. So anyway, yeah, I hope this helps. If this helped just one person, that makes me so happy. And I hope you all are doing well out there during these times, because there is a lot of separation. And as we know, separation is suffering. It can lead to suffering. And these are the times that we're going through. And gosh, I really hope you're doing well out there. And well, we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.